Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Streat Perspective. In this week's episode, we interview a self-published author, 73-year-old black man from Lynchburg, Virginia. Stories about Jesse Jackson, stories about mental health, and a couple of drug trips along the way. Stay tuned.
At that time, they used to use straight jackets.
Damn, man,
Jesus Christ was not focused on religion. He was focused on the human being. God said, believe in yourself. Believe in what I've given you, you know.
Without further ado, the Honorable Paul Dixon.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Yeah, well, my name's Paul Dixon. I'm originally from Virginia by way of Philadelphia. I grew up in a little town called Madison Heights, Virginia, and my parents had moved to Philadelphia, and and that's where I kind of spent my teenage years and what have you. And I went to college out in Ohio, Central State University, HBCU. It's in Wilberforce, Ohio. And actually, I'll tell you a little story how I got there. Yeah. I was actually trying to get away from my mother. She was.
The best stories usually start that way.
I loved her, but she was, it was my way or the highway with her, So, but anyway, it was between Gannon College, which is in Erie, Pennsylvania, still in Pennsylvania, or Central State in Ohio. Yeah, I said I'm going to Ohio. But I was glad I did, because it really kind of opened my eyes, I didn't realize it at the time that, some of the events that was happening, and, in the course that I had decided that I got a degree in psychology. I decided to go into psychology. At first I said I wanted to be a dentist, but then at 4 o'clock in the morning you got to go to the lab to do the centrifuge. I said, I got to do something else, But I'd always been interested in the human being, I know, a lot of people, they say, what are you? I used to always say, I'm a humanist. I'm about the human being, and I'm looking for the best in the human being. And I started the book here that I wrote. Actually, it's called Unlock the Mind by Stimulating the God Force Within.
That's his pen name, guys.
Yeah, P. Augusta D. That's my pen name.
Link in the comments.
Yep.
But anyway, I had some experiences that kind of opened my eyes as to the mind, just how the mind can be. I went to school where Central State was near Antioch College. And Antioch, I don't know if any of y'all heard of Antioch, but Antioch is a very liberal, college.
So,
and at that time, it was in the late 60s.
Okay.
And
the civil rights movement.
Civil rights movement, but also the drugs. I mean, they were flowing like crazy.
So,
and that's what happened to me. That's what kind of really opened my eyes. I had
your mind really got experience.
Oh man, I had a bad experience. I had a bad experience.
Okay.
And but I was in the right place.
Okay.
Because it was where a lot of kids, and they were they were white kids, and they were kids of corporate presidents and hedge funds heads and stuff like this.
Yeah, so
but it was a lot of oh man, it was so much of the drug culture going to LSD, orange sunshine, purple haze,
all the colors,
strawberries and
the good stuff.
Man. And I mean, it was something else.
Okay.
Well, the police chief, he was a black man.
Okay.
He took the guns away from his deputies because people were tripping. They were tripping all over the place. And he said, hey, I don't want y'all shooting none of these kids because they tripping.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
okay.
And I went to a party, and they had spiked the punch, and I didn't know.
Spiked it with what? That's the question.
LSD and mescaline.
Oh,
What's
well.
mescaline?
Mescaline is like a mushroom. It's actually the American Indians. But they
so
use
kind of
it.
like peyote.
Yeah, like sort of like peyote, but they use it in their religious type ceremonies.
Yeah.
You know, where
help
I
facilitate
mean you
visions.
hallucinate. You know,
Yeah,
I mean
so
it's an
kinda
hallucinogenic.
like
Oh,
That's one thing you
man.
need with LSD is more hallucinogens.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my god.
Oh man, it was something else. You know.
It was a good night. What?
I don't know, man, because the next morning, you know where I woke up?
Where?
Dayton State Hospital,
Oh,
locked up in a seclusion room
Okay.
with the at that time they used to use straitjackets.
Damn, minister.
I got out the straitjacket.
Oh my god.
I got out the straitjacket, and the nurse said that she came by, and there I was, you know, laying there, the straitjacket. I'm laying there with nothing on, and she said she came by to check me and what have you. She said in the next 15 minutes she came to check me. I had pulled it over me, and she said she knew I was all right. And then she opened the door, and and she said, Mr. Dixon. I said, yeah. I said, where am I? She said, you in Dayton State Hospital. I said, what? She said, yeah, you had a bad one last night. Yeah.
I guess that wasn't the first time she treated
You
somebody.
talking about the thing I remember of it.
Yeah.
Now, my buddies,
Yeah.
they remember. You dig it? They remember.
Of course.
But the only thing I remember is that I had a friend. His name was Joe Tuitt, and he was trying to catch me. See, what was happening, they called me the original streaker. I was running down the street with no clothes on. But like I say, I was in the right place.
Okay.
Because if I'd have been 18 miles up the road in Springfield or 10 miles down the road in Xenia, I wouldn't be here talking to y'all. But
Wow.
they would have shot me.
Wow.
Yeah.
They would have shot me, you know. And but like I say, that gave me some insight into the mind,
Yeah.
you know. I said, now, none of these things was me. I'm out there running barefooted. I got tender feet, you know. I have put
Not
socks
that
and shoes on when I'm in the house. No, right. And with no clothes, hey, I just got to have my clothes on.
Yeah.
They couldn't believe it, you know. The guys and see, my alter ego came out. I don't never want to see that rascal again. That rascal is something else, Jack. I'm gonna tell you, it was a oak table where we were living in this apartment.
Yeah.
And they would turn down this old house, and there was an oak table that the gentleman had built. It took 10 of us to tote that thing 2 blocks to our apartment.
Oh my god.
But they said when this thing happened, you know, when the thing jumped on me, they said, oh man, they said that I hit that daggone oak table and it folded. And they said, it's time to, yeah. But see, that's what that adrenaline and everything would do, you know.
Whoa.
Yeah, it makes you strong. They said when I hit that table and it folded, they said it was time. One guy said that he wasn't near the door. He jumped out the window. You know? And the reason I was running down the street naked is that I was after them because they were messing with me.
Okay.
Because they knew that this thing done jumped on me that I was tripping. So they and I got mad. Now, hey, I told them, I said, my alter ego came out. If he would have caught up with y'all, no telling what would happen. But the police caught me before they did, before I caught them.
They got lucky. Otherwise, they might have got that
Yeah.
table treatment.
Oh my god.
But I'm saying that this is how the mind is. Like I say, I spent 30 years working as a mental health counselor. You dig? And I go on a trip where I wake up in a mental hospital. My mind trying to tell me something.
Yeah.
You dig? My mind was trying to tell me, here's your future. You done took a trip, but this is a trip into the future, you know?
Yeah.
Because this happened over 50 years ago. This was 1969 when this happened to me.
So is that the reason why you came up with the book?
Well, the reason that I came up with the book when I started working in the mental health field, psychiatrists, they have dropped the ball in this country because all they want to do is write your prescription, you know. And I found that a lot of things didn't call for,
Medication wasn't the answer.
Sometimes just sitting down
Yep.
and introducing the person to themselves, just pointing out things that this person has, that nobody had ever, like I say with the alpha brainwave.
Okay.
I went through undergrad, went through graduate school in psychiatry, in psychology, and then nobody never talked about the alpha brainwave.
So
It wasn't until I'd gotten into the mental health field and I felt that there need to be something focusing other than on medication.
Okay.
That's when I started researching and what have you. And when I found out about the alpha brainwave, something went off in my brain. Something said, this is where the human being should be focused. See, science has known about the alpha brainwave forever. They know exactly what it does. And see, when you're a kid, the reason that you're able to learn things so readily, the reason you have so much energy, and all you see is another human being when you're a kid. You don't see no color. You just see another kid to play with.
Until you get knowledge.
Yeah,
and
right.
influence, things like that.
Yeah, that's all you see. And that's the alpha brainwave. The alpha brainwave is working. It's the dominant brainwave of every human being from birth until 8 years old. And it becomes dormant at 8.
Why is that?
See, like I say, no, they're not focusing. Instead of focusing on the alpha brainwave and what it does, then you realize that, hey, I need to find out why is it becoming dormant. The reason that it's becoming dormant is because of the influences that kids get from, especially now with the internet and all the
Social
games
media,
and social media and what have you.
Screens everywhere.
I think my theory is that it becomes dormant even 6 years old. Because look what that 6-year-old did in Virginia with I don't know which family member's gun it was, but he had enough sense at 6 years old to pull it out and shoot somebody.
Yeah.
So where did he get
Didn't
that from?
hesitate either.
Yeah. So
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and see, this is where we've got to focus as human beings. We got to focus on being human, because everything we doing is destroying us.
So how do we do that?
I tell my thing is by stimulating your internal systems, by stimulating the internal system, And right now, especially with COVID and whatever, we know that our immune system needs to be stimulated in a positive way.
It has to be strong, otherwise,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you have an attack on your body,
Right.
whether it's foreign or even like within, if you don't have a strong enough immune, that'll take you out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Apparently the mind
your-
works similar.
See,
Yeah.
the thing of it is that the Creator God gave the human being everything the human being needs, everything that the human being needs. But as humans, we don't focus on ourselves. I couldn't believe it myself that I said, now, here I am. At the time, this was about, I guess, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, when I really started researching and what have you.
It's early
And at that time, I was, about 30 years, a little over 30. I said, dang, here I am, a little over 30 years old, and I'm just now finding out about the alpha brain wave. I said, hey, that should have been, that should have been the number one thing, especially with kids, that you focus on. Keep that
early
brain
child-
wave, keep that brain wave stimulated.
Early childhood development is so
Sure,
important.
yeah.
That a lot of people they don't understand. Like, the kids are the future, but kids are products of their environment.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you talk about environment, look at what we doing to the environment. I tell people,
Pillaging and raping it for all it's worth, and
where do Where does oxygen come from?
Trees.
Trees. What is happening? They
Deforestation.
cutting the trees down,
Yeah.
especially in the rainforest,
Yeah.
in the Amazon.
They're burning up parts of the
And
rainforest.
you know why they doing it?
for cattle.
Cattle, and where they gonna
And
sell the
crops.
meat? To the
Markets, the
United
people.
States. Gonna sell it to the United States, and all the U.S. don't buy, China gonna buy.
Yep.
You know, yeah. And see, but the thing of it is that, like I say, we don't focus as human beings. And when I was in college, they used to have this poster because we were worried about the Russians, you know, and nuclear attack.
Yeah, Cold War.
They used to have this poster, and it says that it's telling you what to do in case of a nuclear attack. And do you know what it said? The last thing it said?
What?
Put your head between your legs and kiss your behind goodbye. And that's and that's you know they have pinpointed it. They said that we got 12 years to turn things around. You know, as
12?
far as the environment goes, and
We have that much time?
they said 12 years. That's you know, but
Well, it's
Who
not
knows?
going to be all over in 12 years. But what they're saying is,
It's gonna
12
be a point
years
in
is
no
when we
return.
have a chance to work on making
Yeah.
things better. If
Mhm.
we don't do anything in that 12-year period, it's going to get to a tipping point where it's going to be decelerated so
yeah,
fast,
so
that we
fast
won't
that
be
you
able
won't
to
be
turn
able
it
to do
around.
anything about it. Yeah, but see, the thing of it is that we need to start focusing on being human. You know, we need to start focusing on the things that keeps us focused on being human.
And where do you
And-
think is the primary area where that can be done most effectively? Because, you know, we focus on, you know, let's say Congress or people that are already of a certain age in positions of power. That doesn't necessarily seem like a very likely scenario. So where do we do that to have the
Well,
most impact?
We've got where it's got to start. It's got to start with education, and I'm talking about in the private school and public schools. They got to focus on keeping the kids human, keeping them focused on being human. You know, my daughter, she works for a company that they specialize in. With a preschool, education and what have you. And I told her, I said, where you are is very important because, I told her, I said, you're at the point where these kids, that alpha brainwave is stimulated. It's actually, like I said, science knows that it's the dominant brainwave of every human being at birth. And they know that it becomes dormant at 8 years old. But with what's going on in society and what have you, I think it's becoming dormant sooner. Sooner.
So what do you do to stimulate that to perhaps
Well,
prolong the
Well,
period before it goes dormant?
in my book there, I've got some stretches that you can do before you get out of bed. Stretches.
Like mental stretches or physical?
Physical stretches.
Physical stretches.
Yeah. And what they do is that they stimulate the immune system, and they enhance the body. See, the human being had to be created, had to be somebody that knew what they were doing, because they made things so simple for us as human beings. But we're the ones complicating things, We're the ones complicating things. I mean, breathing, that's where we should be focused on how to breathe, how to get enough oxygen into your body, because every organ in your body has got to have oxygen, especially the brain. 50% of the oxygen you take into your body, the brain has got to use that, but the rest of your body needs oxygen also. So therefore, you got to focus on getting the proper oxygen into your body, and that's where I start off with the book, teaching people how to breathe, how to get that oxygen. And trying to get them to focus on, on breathing, on keeping oxygen. I mean, the only food that the brain has is oxygen. And where it gets its oxygen? In the blood, through the blood. Blood is the only thing that can get into the brain. So therefore, you have to learn how to oxygenate your blood. And that's what I do in the book, show people how to breathe, to oxygenate your blood, to get oxygen into your blood so that you can get it into your brain. You know. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, I mean, the human being, I mean, when they say in the Bible about making the human being, that God made the human being Lord of the earth. So that's why I say that unlock the mind, you know, by stimulating, you know, the God force within. You know, if God made us, he gave us some of his force. I feel that God is a force. We've never seen him, but we feel him, you know. We see, you know, the things around us that, you know, that we believe that God, you know, God created and what have you. So my theory is that God is a force, and he instilled some of that God-like force into us, you know. And one of them is oxygen. If you believe in the Bible, you know, Adam, what was Adam before God blew oxygen into him? Just a lump of clay. But once oxygen was introduced to that lump of clay, it became a human being. You know, oxygen is the key. You know, well, one of the keys. Okay. But I'm saying it's a key that you can do something about yourself. You know, you ain't got to go to the doctor. You ain't got to go to the hospital. All you got to do is learn how to breathe. You know. And you're going to breathe. I mean, it's involuntary. The reason that we don't really focus on it because it's involuntary. Yeah. We got to breathe. You can try to hold your breath, but hey, you know, unless somebody put their hand over your nose and mouth, hey, you know, you ain't gonna kill yourself by holding your breath because it ain't gonna. You'll just pass out. Right. You're gonna have to breathe. You know. Yeah. But I'm saying we don't focus on these things, especially in Western society. You know, in the East, you know, especially in India and places where they do yoga and stuff like that, these people, you know, and the thing of it is that you have to focus on the body because a lot of people with yoga, it's nothing but breathing and stretching. Okay. You know.
So you were telling us about the alpha brain waves and the exercises that you outlined in the book. So without giving away all the points of the book, because we definitely want to encourage people to read it for themselves, get the full benefit. So if we kind of fast forward towards the end, so if someone is doing the tenets described in the book, they're doing those exercises, what would be some of the benefits that they would expect to receive by unlocking this inner God?
Okay, well, as far as the stretches go, I focus those stretches on people doing them when they wake up. And mainly because a lot of people say they didn't have time to do an exercise. But the thing of it is, you got time to hit the snooze button. You
definitely have time to do that.
Yeah, that's stretch count? Is this one stretch?
Yeah, right. That's a half-hearted stretch, reaching for the snooze button. But, you know, and so they hit the snooze button, sleep for 15 more minutes, but all of a sudden, when they know that thing go off again, they got to jump up.
Yeah, jump up.
And what has happened is that you've been laying there. You might not have been asleep, but you've been laying there, you know, for 6, 7, 8 hours, and all of a sudden you're gonna jump up. Your old heart can't take it. And they've gone and they've compiled statistics that say that a lot of heart attacks happen when the person is getting up out of bed because they haven't warmed their body up.
That makes good sense.
And that's what these stretches do. They actually warm the body up, but they also stimulate the certain parts of the body. The first stretch that when you wake up, I call it the alpha stretch because that's what it does. It stimulates the alpha brain wave. You know, the next one that I do, and it's not necessarily a full body stretch, but I call it the energy hug, where you're actually hugging yourself and you pushing these down and you breathing, you know, you inhaling, you know. And actually what that does, that stimulates energy within your body, you know. You build energy within your body. Then there's another one, I call it the gravity balancer. See, a lot of people don't realize, you can lose 3 to 4 inches in height in a lifetime because of the pull of gravity. because of the pull of gravity.
Some of us can ill afford that.
Yeah. So I call it the gravity balancer. It balances your body to gravity, so that you don't lose those heights.
Okay.
See, ain't nothing you can do about gravity is there, but you can try to balance your body.
Okay.
To the fact that it's not affected as bad. Gravity doesn't affect the body as bad. You don't lose those inches.
Yeah, I always
in a
wonder,
lifetime.
Yeah, I always wonder how people, once they start getting up there in age, where like you look at them like, did you shrink?
Yeah.
I always assume it's osteoporosis.
Well, some of it is,
Calcium
but
deficiency.
some of it is, but the most part is gravity.
Okay.
Yeah, it wreaks havoc on the human body, and the reason why, because we stand up straight. We actually, in a sense, define gravity. When you stand up, like that. Yeah. So it does take a toll on our bodies, but in my research, I came up with found this stretch. They say that's what it does. It balances the body to gravity, so that you don't lose those inches over a lifetime. And then the last stretch, and before stretches, I call it the spine aligner. If your spine is aligned, every organ in your body operates optimally, operates like it's supposed to.
Wow.
Because every organ is connected to the spine. Every organ is connected, every organ is connected to the spine. So if you can keep that spine aligned, keep that blood flowing like it's supposed to.
So is that when people get into these bad car accidents or get shot and their spine gets severed, it's like their health takes a major decline.
Yeah.
The comeback, the recovery from that, the recovery from that is almost like a fight to get back to your former self.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, because I never realized. I mean, as you said, the body itself is so many different systems working in harmony.
Yeah.
So
supposed
to be.
Yeah.
So
and see, that's God. That's God. That's that God force within us. Where our internal organs, man, they work the same for every human being. They work the same for every human being. It don't matter what color you are, though, what religion you are, it works the same for every human being. And that's what I feel is God-like things that do the same thing, and it's positive for every human being.
And the fact that we are the same, but we have these little, unfortunately, as humans, especially as we've gotten more civilized, unfortunately, we should be united, but we separate ourselves from race, from skin color, of course, even class. If we weren't fighting over skin color, we'd be fighting over, what class or what station in life you're at. There's a lot of people that they want to be superior, and if they're not superior, just a little bit farther than, I'm not sure if you watch cartoons or not, but there was, there's an episode in Fairly Odd Parents. For some reason, the main character, Timmy Turner, he decides, hey, I want everybody to be a gray blob. So now, since he's a gray blob, his fairy godparents can't pick him out. Mm-hmm. And these people that thought they were superior, they had the big teeth. The dad was a dentist and the kid was whatever. They had these big chattering teeth. And then instead of having nice teeth now, they saying, hey, you're gray blobs just like us. So it's like, no. We're the grayest and the blobbiest. Which is, if it's not one thing, it's another.
Yeah.
And we bleed all the same. And I feel like whether it's in country, whether it's across the world, if people treated people the same, we wouldn't have a lot of these issues.
Well,
Pretty big
the
if.
reason that
If.
well, even in the Bible, it talks about partakers of other men's sins and partakers of the benefit. But what is happening with most human beings? They're partaking of other men's sins. Like I was telling Aaron, it's hard to believe that you got a major political party in this country that's willing to follow one person. You know? And I mean, that's hard, you know?
Yeah.
Even, I mean, it is so
Blind
bad
follow.
that even the people within that party that don't want this to happen, oh, what's happening? They're getting ostracized
Yeah.
and getting kicked out of their offices and all kinds of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, but the thing of it is, as human beings, we should be focused on the benefit. And the benefit is, and we need to start following directions. As far as the Bible goes, what's the first thing that God asked the human being to do? And he said first. In the passage it says first. He said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and everything else will be given unto you." But they're not focusing right.
No.
See, what is happening is that down through the ages, you know, as far as religion goes, especially Christianity, they've used it to control people. You know, to
Intimidate.
control people.
And get people.
Especially Catholicism, the first organized Christian religion. I mean, they used that, man. I mean, hey, the Pope, he was like the Jingo out there. Hey, if you ain't a Christian,
Yep,
cut
that's
your
it.
head off. You know,
Yep.
you had to be a Christian.
That's why I
But the
don't
thing
mess
of
with
it is that people don't even realize that in the early years, when the popes really got power, they wasn't even using, they wouldn't allow the people that were Catholic to even read the Bible.
Yeah, literacy was not a common thing. So
Yeah.
they're relying on what the Pope or
But,
whatever their
what they
local
tell them,
religious
yeah.
person is
And a
telling
lot
them.
of that is happening
Trust.
today. A lot of that is happening today.
Yeah, people don't do their own research. They
right,
don't read.
right,
They
right. We
rely
don't
on
follow
demigods to
direction,
tell them
right.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do, you know, you go down, you listen to this preacher, you
And
know,
you just
and-
take what he says
right,
as the
and
word.
all he's doing is regurgitating something that he done heard from somewhere else. There ain't nothing that he done studied or,
No.
you know, or tried, you know.
Which is why I'm not for organized religion as a whole
No,
in general. It's
No, it shouldn't, right.
No.
Again, even with Jesus Christ was not focused on religion. He was focused on the human being.
Yeah. He was focused,
He was
on,
focused on the human people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, you know.
and the very fact that he was focused on the people, and these the Romans
the
were
fact-
like, they felt like, well, not only do you not want to be a king, but people follow you without you trying to
Yeah,
manipulate them and things like that.
But
we got to get you out of
but
here.
it
But
wasn't
that goes
the-
to what you were saying. Like, people are focused on the wrong things.
On the wrong
They're
thing.
defining their value, their self-worth, their viability in terms of how other people view them or how they can control other people.
Yeah.
If you just focus on making yourself the best that you can be, you're bound to end up in a lot better place and try to focus on controlling somebody else.
Controlling, yeah.
The rest will
And
take
see-
care of itself.
Right. And see, the thing of it is that, you know, with religion, they say, oh, you're supposed to believe in God and what have
Mm-hmm.
you. But that's not what God said. God said, believe in yourself. Believe in what I've given you,
Yep.
you know, because ain't nothing you can do about God. God is God.
Exactly.
But only person you can do
Yes,
anything
that's
about
it.
is yourself.
Exactly.
You know, and that's where we should be as human beings, focused on doing something for ourselves as human
And
beings.
it's funny you mentioned that too about church, because some of the most hypocritical people I've ever met be in church every
Oh,
single
man.
Sunday.
The fact
Every
that,
Sunday.
and we actually talked about this earlier today, was you were telling me there is 100 black churches in the city of Jackson.
110.
110.
110 that are anywhere from 50 to over 100 years old. You know,
That's crazy.
110
You know,
just in.
historically speaking, black churches have represented a lot more than just organized religion for a number of reasons. But for there to be that many today, that's
But
quite
the
something.
but the thing of it is, they won't come together. If they come together, oh man, look how powerful they could be.
yeah. But then
To
there
really
wouldn't be
have
as
the
many
people
chiefs.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, they focusing on their particular church, and their church, their congregation dying out. Young folks don't go to church.
But it's my congregation.
Yeah.
There's one less member there every Sunday, but it's mine.
Right. Yeah. Because young folks, they don't, hey, because the churches are not doing nothing for
I mean,
them.
they've been burned.
The things that they need, the church is not providing.
Yeah, I mean, they've been
And not interested in learning how to provide.
No.
Exactly. I
No.
mean, even I think I was telling you this earlier. How, of course, it's tax season, and you have so many people. How the church should be doing more. Where, I mean, talking about programs as far as helping like the homeless and things like that. Where these churches get a lot of money, and you have people that I've seen a couple unfortunate videos where some churches were literally taxing types. Like, I'm talking about like almost like
Taxing.
Like I saw the dude was like, "Yo, I give you like 10%." It's like, "Nah, we want 20 now." It's like he almost walked out that church.
Well,
Almost. What do you mean almost?
Well, these ministers, sometimes you in the church and they ain't figure that they ain't collected enough money. They tell me, well, we need about $25-50 more dollars. I'm gonna start out. I'm gonna put a 10 here, right? But you go get your 10 out of there, right? Yeah. But hey, and years ago, I don't know if y'all ever heard of Reverend Ike.
Does not ring a bell.
Reverend Ike, years ago, man, Reverend Ike, about what it says about money. It says money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
But Reverend Ike, you know what he said?
What?
The lack of money is the root of all evil. And Reverend Ike, he was black. He was black, but he was like an evangelist. He'd go all over. And Reverend Ike, when you went to, one of his, whatever they call it, he'd have a barrel up there. And it would start with $10, $20, $50, $100, and you got to walk up there, and so a lot of people, they didn't want to look like, they cheap, so
That's
they
psychology.
Oh yeah,
That's psychology.
Ike had about 7 or 8 Rolls Royces in his,
I don't doubt it.
Reverend Mike. And that was his thing. He said the lack of money is the root of all evil.
Like when people don't have to pay taxes, live a luxury lifestyle, it just rubs me the wrong way. Sorry.
Sure.
You're supposed to be for the people, but all this money is not going to the people. Just like Joel Osteen, the hurricane hit, and everybody's trying to get to the church.
Yeah.
Said, no, sorry.
And
No
then
one had
the
a
church,
heart, but this
and
ain't
then
it.
the church flooded.
That was karma right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not, unfortunately, I would say in our community, the leadership is very lacking. Of course, we have the not so honorable Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, and there's no up and coming leaders that I see that there's unity. And to be honest with you, a lot of them they're still kind of doing the same song and dance, and around that time, because you're 70, 3 years old, so you're living history. You grew up around that time where it was really like, where it was very vital to get out there. And the fact that I'm always curious about both of them particularly, they're still alive.
Yeah.
It doesn't sit right with me because I don't wish any ill will, but the fact that, one ran for president all the years ago, which nobody was ready for a black president in the 80s. That's just what it was.
Well, with Jesse, that was 1988 when he was running for president. Yeah. But the reason that a lot of people, especially people like Coretta Scott King and people didn't get behind him was what he did.
And what was that?
Jesse, King, a lot of people don't realize what King did. This man would make somewhere in the area about $300,000 a year in royalties from his books and speeches. And he would take $250,000 of that money and give it to SCLC. Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the organization that he helped to form. He would give them that money so that the organization could keep going.
Okay.
And Coretta, his wife, would give him down the country. And you know what he would say to her? Baby, we can live good on $50,000. And back then you could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Making
you could.
$300,000 in the '60s is like $1 million.
Yeah, yeah, off his books and royalties. And he would give $250,000 of that money to SCLC. Now,
I can't see
even
Jesse
his
or
followers,
Al
they
doing
didn't, well, see,
Wasn't
Jesse,
allowed to see it.
man, Jesse Jackson, when Jesse, Andy Young, he said the first time he ever saw Jesse Jackson was in Selma, Alabama. And he said that there was Jesse on the courthouse steps directing people. And he wasn't a part of SCLC or no organization.
He just showed up.
He just showed up.
Hey.
And he directed people. And Andy Young, he cursed. He said, what the hell is that? You know? And somebody says it's Jesse Jackson. And they did not want Jesse in the organization
Why? Yeah.
because they knew how Jesse was. Jesse was about Jesse.
Okay, so
And
he
any
was about
opportunity he could
And they-
get
He was
to
an
promote him,
opportunist.
yeah, he was
He
an
was an
opportunist.
opportunist.
He was
Okay.
an opportunist.
that and that.
But the thing of it is,
Was
is that what King recognized and what we've got to recognize today, the kids, they are our future.
They are.
And Jesse had a lot of influence with the young folks.
We did have a couple
'Cause,
kids that
you know,
we did have a couple kids that was
Yeah, well, but I'm saying as far as in Chicago, see, every Saturday they used to have a little rally. And Jesse used to say, I am somebody. You know?
Yeah.
No, that's
And he would have them kids
he
saying
hit with that one.
Yeah. But see, Jesse had a lot of influence with the kids. So King wanted to form Operation Breadbasket. But see, even the people that worked with King, they didn't understand what he was doing. He knew that his $300,000 wasn't going to last forever. And he knew that SCLC had to find some way to support itself.
Yep.
So King did his research. He found out that the largest concentration of black money, black folks with money, is in Chicago. And it still is. It still is.
I would have never thought.
Chicago,
back
they're,
then and even today. I
They're-
would have thought New York, maybe
Chicago,
LA.
and see, they don't want to give out the statistics, but Chicago, the city proper, is probably about 75% black. You know, just the city proper. All the other folks, they done went out in the suburbs, you know. You know,
The
they
city,
within
the city itself. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so that's
and
where
they've
he
got
was
money.
focused.
And they've got money. There are probably about 20 black banks in Chicago, but they won't come together. And I found out why.
Why?
Because the presidents and board of trustees, everybody, they making money. They don't want to. They, you know, all they little banks, but they controlling, you know, like millions of dollars.
I understand
Yeah.
making money, but you can make money and help people. I don't
That's
understand.
right, and see, the only person that really understood that and tried to do something with black folks to get them together economically,
Yeah.
that happened over 100 years ago, Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey. Garvey, see, I guess I'm stepping out here. Some people that might see this, they, you know, but
This
No,
is
we-
an
we-
open.
we
this is
worry
an
about
open-
that.
I'm gonna tell
I ain't
you.
worried about that. This is an open platform.
Marcus Garvey's movement, it didn't last but 5 years. But in 5 years, he had over 8 million black folks in that organization. They had developed a Black Star shipping line where they were doing business with countries in Africa and in the Caribbean and in the Bahamas, black countries, you know.
Yeah.
He had stores and stuff, you know, all through through the black neighborhoods, especially in New York and, the larger cities up north and what have you. And it got to be a thing of semantics. W.E.B. Du Bois, the first black to graduate with a PhD from Harvard.
Yeah.
And you know why he did?
What?
They thought he was white.
Oh,
He was so light, he's lighter than I am. They thought he was white.
He was
He didn't
fine.
tell them no different.
He was passive.
And by the time they found out, it was too late.
They said
He'd already qualified for his doctorate.
They said J. Edgar Hoover could have been black.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Hamilton, they say he was black because he was from the islands.
yeah. Well, you from
Yeah.
the islands.
Yeah.
With the chance.
Yeah,
Always
yeah,
a
they
chance,
said
which I'm like-
but anyway, you know, King,
Yeah.
the man was smart.
Yeah.
He knew, like I said, he knew that SCLC and even black folks themselves should be developing themselves economically. And he knew that the young folks was the future. That's why, and when he formed Operation Breadbasket, he based it in Chicago and he made Jesse Jackson head of it. Andy Young, Y.T. Walker, all of them, they were ready to leave SCLC because of what King did. And King said, Jesse has influence with the young folks, and that's our future. That's what we got to focus on.
Now,
Okay.
And
did
but
Jesse do right?
No, he didn't do right.
Of course he did.
Because when King got shot in Memphis,
Yeah.
Jesse called the next day. Jesse called the rally in Chicago. I was in college at Central State, and we weren't. I guess we about 4 or 5 hours drive to Chicago. We drove to Chicago to, for the rally.
Yeah.
Jesse walking around in the dashiki he had on down in Memphis, and you know what did Jesse said?
What he said?
He said when King was dying, that King said that he wanted Jesse to be head of SCLC, and that was a lie.
This sound like
Everybody
some
knew
Game
it.
of Thrones
Everybody,
nonsense.
You
yeah.
ain't
I was there at that rally. I remember him saying it.
Jesse Jackson, you a goddamn liar.
I
If I ever see you in person, I'm gonna say that exact thing. God
That's
damn
a
it.
damn shame. No
That's-
wonder people
that's
don't
what
mess
he.
with Jesse like that.
That's. I was there, man.
Them babies
And a lot of people
believe.
believed. A lot of people believed that at the time, because because they knew that he was there,
Yeah.
and what have you,
Yeah.
and they knew
Okay.
that he had that King liked him and what have you, and
More than anybody else.
more than anybody else in the organization, right? But see, Jesse tried to say he was as good as King.
No, he
And
wasn't.
you know what?
Come on,
Jesse, when they made Abernathy president of SCLC, you know what Jesse did?
What do you do?
Cry.
He took the people from Operation Breadbasket and he formed PUSH, People United to Save Humanity. He took the people from SCLC's organization,
it's
right?
about Jesse.
Yeah.
It's not about the greater mission or the
Right.
greater good.
And then, but Operation Breadbasket, the year Jesse made over, I don't know how many. Jesse made a couple $1 million, and the people from now he'd moved on to Rainbow Coalition,
Yeah.
but the people from PUSH, they got put out of the building because they couldn't pay the rent. And Jesse made I don't know how many millions that year,
That's
and he
crazy.
want to compare himself to King.
Ain't no damn way.
There's no
Right,
damn-
King give up a third of his,
Yeah, 75% of what he was making
right.
or more.
Exactly.
right,
He gave
to
up.
help the people. Even Dr. King's daddy said Martin, they used to call him ML. He said ML ain't got no money. He said why? He said he give it all away. That's what his daddy said. He said he give it all away.
Ain't nobody
He ain't
said
got no
that about
money. He said that he give it away. But Jesse, man, I tell you, man, it's a shame. This is a shame. The lady that had his baby out of wedlock,
Yeah.
she was in love with Jesse. She wrote a book about him.
Sure she did.
Yeah, she wrote a book about him.
Don't doubt it.
And this was before she got pregnant, and she was praising
wow.
Jesse and everything, So no telling what he was telling her, But she had to go to the tabloids
Of course.
because he wasn't supporting them.
It's like anything else.
I mean,
But he took the money from from Rainbow Coalition and moved her to Los Angeles and just forgot about her.
Of course.
And she had to sell the story to the tabloids in order to, feed her and her daughter.
Just like this.
Sounds par for the course.
Oh man. I tell
Okay,
you.
well that certainly explains why that's not an option.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But we got to focus, especially as a race of people, we got to focus on developing ourselves economically.
Yes.
And we can do it. Do you know the last statistics I got? Arbitron used to do them, but Arbitron, they go on, and Nielsen, they do all of the, and the last statistics that I've seen, 2019, do you know how much we spent just in the 48 states?
No.
$1.2 trillion consuming.
We good at spending though.
We good at
We're
spending.
good at that. We got
And we
spending on a lot.
but the bad thing about it, we spend less than 3% of our money with black businesses.
That's crazy.
We give it all right back to Mr. Charlie. Y'all know who Mr. Charlie
I
is?
know Mr. Charlie.
Back in Jim Crow days, that's what we used to call him, Mr. Charlie and Miss Ann. Yeah, but that's what, give it all right back to Mr. Charlie. And most of it going in the lottery.
That it is.
Oh,
Going in the lottery.
the lottery.
Yes.
In Virginia, they did some statistics. 62% of lottery sales, you know who buy it?
Us.
Black folks. 85% in D.C., but it done gone down because they've got urban renewal, but I call it back in the day they said it's urban renewal, but it's removal. And that's exactly the way it was too, because I remember in D.C., all of 14th Street, 16th Street Northwest, they went in there renovating and what have you. I told them, I said, hey, the people that used to live here, they ain't gonna be able to move back in here. And this was in the 70s.
Yeah.
I said, he said, why? I said, you see that home they built that town home? I said, you know how much that home cost? $400,000. I said, who gonna move in? And see, it's all right close to downtown,
Yeah.
where the people that
Convenient.
they can walk to work.
I was in DC during Christmas time. It's you got certain places that's really nice, really,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, like in D.C. where they got the stadium, the baseball stadium.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was Anacostia. Man, back in the day, if you didn't live in that area, you didn't want to go in there. But I couldn't believe what they done. They went in there and tore out everything, built the stadium. Now they've got these condominiums and all kinds of stuff. Man, it's like a whole different world,
Gentrification is happening everywhere.
well, we could go on forever. I know we can. This is a great conversation, but I feel like it's time to go put a button on it. By the way, guys, check out Paul Dixon, aka P. Augusta D. The God Force Within. And if you don't mind me asking, where can they find this book at?
Well, you can get it through Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, but they'd have to order it for you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And do you have any socials or anything like that?
No, well, see, I'm trying to really establish myself here in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Because I just moved down here. I retired, and my daughter lives here, and she's been trying to get me, So I decided I, would move here and what have you. But I've got a lot of ideas about things that that can happen, and I feel they can happen here in Jacksonville.
I feel like Jacksonville is the southern place of dreams.
Oh.
Southern place of dreams.
Yeah.
Cost of living not too bad.
No, right.
And you do what you need to do, you
Right,
can make
and
things
it's-
happen.
Yeah.
For now,
Yeah.
hurry up.
Well, guys, we're getting out of here. My name is Aaron Streater. This is my co-host.
Bushido driver.
And we're out of here. Later, guys. Peace!